Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the stars through the large viewing window. The ship moved slowly through space near the edge of human territory. It was a quiet morning, just like many others in the past few months. The crew went about their daily tasks, checking systems and monitoring space for any signs of trouble. "Captain," called Lieutenant Commander Lisa Parker from her station, "we're getting a message from outside human space." "It's coming from the Zephirian Empire." Morrison turned toward her. The Zephirians were known throughout the galaxy as a warrior race. They were proud, aggressive, and always looking to expand their territory. Humans had little contact with them before, but the stories other alien races told were not pleasant. "Put it on screen," Morrison said. The main display showed a large alien with dark blue skin and glowing red eyes. His uniform was covered in military decorations, and his expression was cold and threatening. This was Admiral Vex Korthak, one of the most feared military leaders in Zephirian space. "Human vessels," Korthak began, his voice deep and harsh. "I am Admiral Korthak of the Zephirian Imperial Fleet. Your species has grown too bold. Your colonies spread across space like a disease. This ends now." Morrison watched carefully as the alien continued speaking. Commander Rick Hayes, his first officer, moved closer to listen. "The Zephirian Empire claims the following human worlds as payment for your excessive expansion: New Haven, Prosperity Station, and Eden's Gate. You have 72 hours to remove all humans from these worlds. After that time, we will take them by force." The message ended and the screen went dark. The bridge was silent for a moment. Morrison looked around at his crew. Their faces showed concern but not fear. Humans had faced threats before. "Lisa, what do we know about those three worlds?" Morrison asked. Parker checked her computer. "New Haven has about 800,000 people, mostly farmers and miners. Prosperity Station is smaller, maybe 300,000, but they have important mining operations. Eden's Gate is the largest, with over 1 million civilians. It's mainly a research colony." Hayes shook his head. "Those worlds have almost no military protection. A few security ships, some orbital platforms, but nothing that could stop a real attack." Morrison nodded. He had expected this. The outer colonies were peaceful places. People went there to start new lives, to build farms, to conduct research, or to mine valuable materials. They were not military bases. "How long would it take to evacuate them?" Morrison asked. "At least 2 weeks," Hayes replied. "Maybe more. We don't have enough transport ships to move 2 million people quickly." Morrison walked to his command chair and sat down. He had been in the military for 23 years. He had fought in 3 different wars against alien races who thought humans were weak. Each time those aliens had learned they were wrong. "Lisa, open a channel back to the Zephirians," he said. "Channel open, sir." Morrison looked directly into the camera. When he spoke, his voice was calm and steady, but there was something cold in his eyes. "Admiral Korthak, this is Captain Morrison of the United Earth Forces. I want to make sure you understand our position clearly. Those worlds you mentioned belong to humanity. The people living there are under our protection. They will not be leaving." He paused, letting his words sink in. "You have been warned. No one trespasses in human space. Those who do don't return. You have 72 hours to reconsider your threat and withdraw from our borders. This is your only warning." Morrison nodded to Parker and she closed the channel. Hayes looked surprised. "Captain, with respect, we can't fight the entire Zephirian fleet with one ship. Their intelligence reports say they have over 80 warships." Morrison smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Rick, how long have you been serving on human ships?" 15 years, sir." "And in all that time, have you ever seen us lose a war?" Hayes thought about it. "No, sir. But we usually have more ships, more time to prepare." "The Zephirians think they know about human military strength, Morrison said. "They think they understand our weapons, our ships, our tactics. They're wrong." Chief Engineer Danny Foster spoke up from his station. "Captain, should I begin preparations for Protocol 7? Morrison looked at him and nodded slowly. "Yes, Danny, full preparations. But maintain normal operations until I give the word." Hayes looked confused. "Sir, what is Protocol 7? I've never heard of it." "You will," Morrison said. "Lisa, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them the Zephirians have issued an ultimatum against 3 of our colonies. Include all the details." "Message sent, sir." Morrison stood up and walked to the window again. In the distance, he could see the faint light from New Haven's star. Peaceful people lived there, families with children, scientists working on important research. miners who just wanted to make an honest living. The Zephirians wanted to destroy all of that because they thought humans were easy targets. "Sir," Parker said, "we're getting responses from the colonies. They're asking if they should prepare for evacuation." "Tell them to continue normal operations," Morrison replied. "Tell them they have nothing to worry about." Hayes moved closer to Morrison. "Captain, I need to understand what's happening. If we're not evacuating the colonies, and we're not calling for backup, how are we going to protect 2 million people from 80 warships?" Morrison turned to look at his first officer. Hayes was a good man, loyal and brave. He had served with honor in several battles. But there were things about human military capabilities that even experienced officers didn't know. "Rick, when humanity first joined the Galactic Federation 43 years ago, we made certain agreements. We agreed to limit our military technology to keep peace with other species. We agreed to fight wars in ways that other aliens could understand and accept." Morrison paused, watching his crew listen carefully. "But those agreements only apply when we're fighting alongside other Federation species or when we're the aggressors. They don't apply when someone threatens human civilians in human space." Foster looked up from his engineering station. "Protocol 7 removes all restrictions, sir." "That's right," Morrison said. "The Zephirians are about to learn why every species in the galaxy speaks carefully when they talk about humanity. They're about to learn why humans are still here after 43 years of galactic politics." The bridge was quiet as the crew processed this information. Outside the window, the stars looked peaceful and calm. But Morrison knew that in less than 72 hours, this region of space would become very different. "Maintain course and speed," he ordered. "And someone wake up Dr. Cole on Luna Station. Tell her it's time." Admiral Vex Korthak stood in the command center of his flagship, the Bloodstorm. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of 87 Zephirian warships. The largest invasion fleet in recent history was about to cross into human space. "Status report," Korthak demanded. "All ships ready, Admiral," replied his tactical officer. "Weapons charged, shields at maximum power. Our scouts report no human military presence in the target systems." Korthak smiled, showing his sharp teeth. The humans had ignored his warning. Now they would pay the price for their arrogance. In all his years as a military commander, he had never seen a species so foolish. They actually thought they could defend 3 worlds with no significant military forces. "Have we received any response to our ultimatum?" he asked. "Only one message, sir." The human captain said we should reconsider. He claimed that those who trespass in human space don't return. The bridge crew laughed. Korthak had studied human military records. Their ships used simple kinetic weapons and basic energy shields. Their tactics relied on large numbers of ships working together. They had never faced Zephirian military technology. "Scan the border again," Korthak ordered. "I want to know about every human ship within 50 light years." The sensor officer worked for several minutes. "Sir, we detect only one human vessel, a heavy cruiser called the USS Defiance. It's maintaining position near the border, but it's not moving to intercept us." "One ship," Korthak mused. "They send one ship to stop an entire fleet. Human stupidity knows no bounds." Meanwhile, far away on Luna Station near Earth, Dr. Amanda Cole worked frantically in her laboratory. She had been awake for 36 hours straight, making final preparations for something the military called Project Lazarus. Her hands moved quickly across control panels as she ran system checks on equipment that most of the galaxy didn't know existed. "Doctor," her assistant called out, "we're getting confirmation signals from all platforms. The network is fully operational." Cole nodded but didn't stop working. For 15 years, she had been developing weapon systems based on principles that other alien species considered impossible. The Galactic Federation had treaties against certain types of weapons, not because they were cruel, but because most species believed they couldn't be built. Humans had built them anyway. "How many platforms are active?" she asked. 2,734 scattered throughout human space, all disguised as space debris or natural asteroids, all responding normally to quantum commands. Cole finally stopped and looked at the main display. It showed a map of human territory with tiny dots representing hidden defense platforms. For decades, these devices had drifted silently through space, looking like nothing more than space junk. No alien scanner had ever detected their true nature. "Begin final startup sequence," she ordered. "But don't activate weapon systems yet. Wait for Protocol 7. Back on the USS Defiance, Captain Morrison watched the countdown timer on his screen. 71 hours had passed since the Zephirian ultimatum. He had exactly 1 hour left. "Sir," reported Commander Hayes, "long-range sensors are picking up the Zephirian fleet. They're moving toward New Haven at standard cruising speed. Estimated arrival in 6 hours." Morrison nodded. Chief Engineer Foster had been working around the clock to prepare the ship for what was coming. Most of the crew had been evacuated to other vessels. Only essential personnel remained. "Danny, status report on our special systems," Morrison said. Foster looked up from his engineering console. "All systems ready, Captain. The quantum drive is charged and stable. Reality anchors are in position. Temporal shielding is at full power." Hayes looked confused. "Sir, I've never heard of those systems before." "That's because they've never been used in combat," Morrison replied. "Most of our crew doesn't even know they exist. For 43 years, we've been fighting wars with conventional weapons to avoid scaring our allies." Morrison walked to his command chair and activated a secure communication channel. "This is Captain Morrison to Earth Command. Request permission to activate Protocol 7. The response came immediately. "Permission granted, Captain. All restrictions are now lifted. Defend human space by any means necessary." Morrison felt a strange calm settle over him. He had trained for this moment his entire career, but never expected it to actually happen. "All hands, this is the captain," he announced over the ship's communication system. "Protocol 7 is now active. All crew members not essential for combat operations have been evacuated. Those of you who remain know what this means. We are about to show the galaxy what humans are really capable of." 6 hours later, Admiral Korthak's fleet arrived at New Haven. The planet looked peaceful and undefended, just as their intelligence had predicted. A few civilian transport ships were leaving the planet's atmosphere, but there were no military vessels in sight. "Begin the bombardment," Korthak ordered. "Target the major cities first. Show them what happens when they ignore Zephirian warnings." The first Zephirian ships opened fire on New Haven's surface. Energy beams struck the planet's cities, destroying buildings and killing thousands of civilians. The attack was broadcast across the galaxy as a demonstration of Zephirian power. "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving messages from across human space. They're demanding that we stop the attack." "Let them demand," Korthak replied. "By tomorrow, 3 human worlds will belong to the Zephirian Empire. This will teach other species not to expand into space we want." But something strange was happening throughout human space. Every human ship, station, and colony received the same message at exactly the same moment, transmitted through quantum networks that operated faster than any known communication system. The message was simple. Protocol 7 is now active. All restrictions lifted. Defend humanity. In military bases across human territory, soldiers began activating weapon systems that had been hidden for decades. Commanders opened sealed orders that they had carried for years but never been allowed to read. Ships that looked like ordinary transports began revealing their true nature as advanced warships. On Luna Station, Dr. Cole watched her displays as confirmation signals came in from across the galaxy. 2,734 hidden weapons platforms had just become active. Each one was connected to the others through quantum entanglement, allowing them to coordinate attacks instantly across vast distances. "All platforms report ready," her assistant announced. Cole took a deep breath. "Begin target acquisition. Mark every ship that participated in the attack on New Haven. Tag them for elimination." Throughout the galaxy, hidden sensors began tracking the Zephirian fleet. Advanced computers calculated the exact position, speed, and heading of every enemy vessel. The platforms could strike anywhere in the galaxy instantly, but they waited for orders. Admiral Korthak celebrated as his ships finished their attack on New Haven. The planet's major cities were in ruins. Millions of humans were dead or fleeing. It had been easier than he expected. "Set course for Prosperity Station," he ordered. "We'll take that world next, then move on to Eden's Gate. Within a week, the Zephirian Empire will control 3 new worlds." His ships turned away from New Haven and began moving toward their next target. Korthak was pleased with how the operation was going. The humans had offered no resistance at all. He had no idea that across the galaxy, humanity was preparing to show him why they had survived 43 years of galactic politics. Why other species spoke carefully when they mentioned humans. Why no one had ever successfully invaded human space. The USS Defiance moved slowly through space, still apparently alone and outnumbered. But Captain Morrison was no longer worried about the odds. Protocol 7 meant that the Zephirians were no longer facing just one ship. They were facing all of humanity, with no restrictions and no mercy. 3 hours after the attack on New Haven, every human military commander in the galaxy received the same message. It came through quantum networks that moved information faster than light itself, faster than any other species thought possible. The message was simple but terrifying to those who understood its meaning. Protocol 7 active. All restrictions removed. Begin response. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance as his ship underwent a transformation that would have shocked the Galactic Federation. Hidden panels slid open along the hull, revealing weapons that violated several galactic treaties. Not because they were inhumane, but because the galaxy had agreed such weapons were too dangerous to exist. Danny, status on the quantum drive, Morrison called to his chief engineer. Foster worked at his console, his hands moving across controls that most humans had never seen. Drive is stable, Captain. Ready for instant displacement. The micro-black hole is contained and responding to commands. Commander Hayes watched in amazement as his ship changed around him. Sir, what exactly is a quantum drive? Morrison smiled grimly. It's how we actually travel through space, Rick. That conventional faster-than-light drive we've been using for decades. That's just for show. The real drive creates controlled holes in space-time itself. We can travel anywhere in the galaxy instantly. But that's impossible, Hayes said. The Galactic Federation studied that technology centuries ago. They concluded it was too dangerous to use. They concluded it was too dangerous for them to use, Morrison corrected. Humans perfected it 20 years ago. We just never told anyone. On Luna Station, Dr. Cole watched as her life's work finally became operational. Project Lazarus was more than just a weapon system. It was a complete reimagining of how warfare could be conducted across galactic distances. All platforms report ready for action, her assistant announced. Quantum targeting systems have locked onto every ship in the Zephirian fleet. We can strike them anywhere in the galaxy. Cole nodded. What about the displacement weapons? Fully charged. Each platform can remove a target from space-time entirely. They won't just be destroyed, they'll cease to exist. The technology behind Project Lazarus was based on discoveries that had taken humanity decades to understand. While other species focused on manipulating energy and matter, humans had learned to manipulate reality itself. They could edit the universe at a quantum level, removing objects from existence as if they had never been there. Begin tracking all Zephirian ships, Cole ordered. I want a complete record of every vessel that entered human space. When we're finished, there won't be any evidence that they ever existed except in our memories. Admiral Korthak's fleet moved toward Prosperity Station, unaware that they were being tracked by systems they couldn't detect. The Admiral was pleased with how easily they had conquered New Haven. The humans had offered no resistance at all. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, we're detecting some unusual energy signatures in nearby space. Our sensors can't identify the source, Korthak frowned. Show me. The display showed their fleet surrounded by faint energy readings that seemed to be coming from empty space. The readings were unlike anything in Zephirian databases. Probably just solar radiation or cosmic background noise, Korthak decided. Continue toward the next target, but the readings weren't noise. They were Dr. Cole's hidden platforms, slowly coming online and preparing to demonstrate why humans had been restricted from using their full military capabilities for 43 years. Back on the USS Defiance, Morrison received a communication from Earth Command. Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Lisa Grant, Joint Chiefs of Staff. You are authorized to engage the Zephirian fleet with all available resources. Show them what happens when someone attacks human civilians. Morrison nodded to his communications officer. Message received and understood, Admiral. Beginning engagement, he turned to Foster. Danny, activate the quantum drive. Take us to the center of the Zephirian fleet formation. Sir, Hayes said, that's suicide. We'll be surrounded by 87 enemy ships. Morrison looked at his first officer with calm confidence. Rick, those ships are using energy weapons and kinetic shields. They're designed to fight conventional wars against conventional enemies. We're about to show them what unconventional warfare looks like. Foster worked at his controls. Quantum drive ready. Space-time displacement in 3, 2, 1. The USS Defiance vanished. Admiral Korthak was studying tactical displays when his sensor officer suddenly shouted in alarm. "Admiral!" Human ship appearing directly in our formation. The USS Defiance materialized in the exact center of the Zephirian fleet, surrounded by enemy vessels on all sides. But the ship that appeared was not the same vessel that had been patrolling the border. Hidden weapon systems were now visible along its hull. Strange energy fields surrounded it like armor made of pure force. "Impossible," Korthak breathed.
"How did they travel here instantly?"
Before anyone could answer, the human ship opened fire. The weapons that struck the Zephirian vessels were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Instead of destroying the ships, they simply made them disappear. One moment a Zephirian cruiser was there, the next moment there was only empty space where it had been. "What's happening to our ships?" Korthak demanded. His science officer worked frantically at his console. "Sir, they're not being destroyed. According to our sensors, they're being removed from space-time entirely. It's as if they never existed." Lieutenant Greg Bennett, the Defiance's tactical officer, coordinated the attack with calm precision. Displacement weapons fired. 5 enemy vessels eliminated. No debris, no energy signatures. Complete quantum removal achieved. Morrison watched as the Zephirian fleet began to panic. Ships scattered in all directions, trying to get away from the impossible human weapons. But there was nowhere to run, Greg. "Target their command ship," Morrison ordered. "Firing displacement beam," Bennett replied. Admiral Korthak watched in horror as a beam of pure energy struck his flagship. But instead of damaging the ship, the beam seemed to reach into the very fabric of reality itself. Korthak felt a strange sensation, as if he was being pulled apart at the molecular level. "Admiral," his tactical officer screamed. "The beam is affecting our quantum structure. We're being removed from existence." Korthak looked around his bridge one last time. His officers were fading away like ghosts, becoming transparent and then simply vanishing. The ship itself was beginning to dissolve. "This is impossible," he whispered. "No species has this kind of power." Those were his last words before he and his entire ship ceased to exist. Throughout the Zephirian fleet, the same thing was happening. Dr. Cole's hidden platforms had finally revealed themselves, appearing throughout space around the enemy vessels. Each platform looked like a small asteroid, but they contained weapons that could rewrite reality itself. "Platform 77 Alpha, target acquired," came the report to Luna Station. "Zephirian battleship removed from existence. Platform 22 Beta firing displacement beam. Enemy cruiser eliminated. Platform 55 Gamma, multiple targets eliminated. No survivors." One by one, the Zephirian ships simply vanished. Their crews had no time to understand what was happening to them. They were there one moment, and the next moment they had never existed at all. Commander Hayes watched from the Defiance's bridge as the entire enemy fleet disappeared around them. In less than 10 minutes, 87 Zephirian warships had been reduced to empty space. "Sir," he said quietly, "what have we done?" Morrison looked at the empty space where the enemy fleet had been. "We defended human civilians, Rick, and we sent a message to every species in the galaxy. No one trespasses in human space. But the demonstration wasn't over. Dr. Cole's computers had tracked every Zephirian ship that had participated in the attack on New Haven. The platforms could strike anywhere in the galaxy instantly, and some of those ships had already fled to other star systems. "Begin secondary strikes," Cole ordered. "Eliminate all tagged vessels regardless of location." Across the galaxy, Zephirian ships that thought they were safe suddenly found themselves facing the impossible. Human weapons platforms appeared next to them in deep space, in alien star systems, even in heavily defended Zephirian territory. The message was clear. Distance meant nothing to human weapons. There was nowhere in the galaxy to hide from humanity's wrath. The Zephirian Empire was about to learn that when humans said "those who trespass don't return," they meant it literally. The hunting began immediately. Dr. Cole's quantum tracking systems had marked every Zephirian ship that entered human space, and now those ships were being eliminated one by one, no matter where they tried to hide. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching reports come in from across the galaxy. The Zephirian ships that had fled during the initial attack were discovering that there was no escape from human justice. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Greg Bennett from the tactical station, We're tracking 17 Zephirian vessels that jumped to hyperspace during our attack. They're scattered across 5 different star systems. Show me their positions, Morrison ordered. The main screen displayed a galactic map with red dots marking the fleeing ships. Some had returned to Zephirian space, thinking they would be safe in their own territory. Others had fled to neutral systems, hoping to hide among civilian traffic. A few had even requested sanctuary from other alien governments. They think distance will protect them, Commander Hayes observed. Morrison shook his head. They don't understand what they're dealing with. Danny, prepare for quantum displacement. We're going hunting. Chief Engineer Foster worked at his controls. Sir, we can reach any of those targets instantly. Which one first? The closest group. 3 ships hiding in the Rigel system. Let's show them that human space extends wherever we need it to. The USS Defiance vanished from its position and reappeared instantly in the Rigel system, 73 light-years away. The 3 Zephirian ships were hiding behind a gas giant, hoping their heat signatures would be masked by the planet's radiation. Target the lead ship, Morrison ordered. Bennett worked at his console. Displacement weapon charged and ready. Fire. The beam reached across space and touched the Zephirian cruiser. The ship simply ceased to exist, leaving only empty space where it had been floating moments before. The 2 remaining ships tried to flee, but there was nowhere to run. The second ship vanished as the displacement beam found it. The third ship lasted only seconds longer. 3 targets eliminated, Bennett reported. No survivors, no debris. Next group, Morrison said. Meanwhile, on Luna Station, Dr. Cole coordinated the larger hunt. Her hidden platforms were appearing throughout the galaxy, tracking down every ship that had participated in the attack on New Haven platform network. Alpha 7 reporting, came a voice over the communication system. We've located the Zephirian heavy cruiser Deathbringer in the Vega system. It's hiding in an asteroid field. Platform Network Beta 3 reporting. 2 Zephirian destroyers found in neutral space near the Centauri colonies. They're requesting asylum from the local government. Platform Network Gamma 1 reporting. 5 Zephirian ships have returned to their home system. They're hiding behind the orbital defenses of their capital world. Cole listened to the reports with grim satisfaction. The Zephirians had thought they could attack human civilians and then escape to safety. They were wrong. All platforms, you are authorized to engage targets in any location. Galactic treaties are suspended for this operation. Show no mercy. The response was immediate. Across the galaxy, human weapons platforms began appearing in alien star systems. The platforms looked like small asteroids, but they contained technology that could edit reality itself. In the Vega system, the Zephirian cruiser Deathbringer thought it was safely hidden among the asteroids. Its captain, Commander Zek Morthen, was confident that the radiation from the asteroid field would mask his ship's presence. Sir, his sensor officer reported, we're detecting an unusual energy signature nearby. Morthen looked at his display. One of the asteroids was glowing with strange energy. As he watched, the asteroid began to change shape, revealing itself to be an artificial construct. Battle stations, Morthen shouted. Unknown vessel, identify yourself. There was no response. The human platform simply fired its displacement weapon. Commander Morthen had time for one last thought before he and his entire ship were removed from existence. How did they find us? Near the Centauri colonies, the 2 Zephirian destroyers that had requested asylum were learning that political boundaries meant nothing to human weapons. The local government had agreed to protect them, but human platforms appeared in the neutral zone anyway. This is a violation of galactic law, the Centauri Defense Coordinator broadcast. These ships are under our protection. The human platforms ignored the protest. Both Zephirian ships vanished without a trace. But the most dramatic confrontation was happening in Zephirian space itself. 5 ships had returned to their homeworld, thinking they would be safe behind the strongest defenses in their empire. They were hiding behind orbital stations and planetary shields that had never been penetrated by enemy forces. Admiral Thek Vorthak, brother of the late Admiral Korthak, commanded the home fleet. He watched in disbelief as human weapons platforms appeared throughout his star system, ignoring every defense as if they weren't there. How are they getting past our shields? He demanded, His science officer worked frantically at his console. "Sir, they're not getting past our shields. They're appearing inside them. It's as if they're traveling through space-time itself." Vorthak had heard the reports from the battle near human space. His brother's entire fleet had been destroyed by impossible weapons, but he had hoped those reports were exaggerated. "All ships, open fire on the human platforms." The Zephirian fleet fired every weapon they had at the small asteroid-like objects. Energy beams and missiles struck the platforms, but the weapons had no effect. The platforms were protected by the same reality-warping technology that powered their guns. "Sir, our weapons are having no effect. The platforms appear to be shielded by some kind of space-time distortion field." One of the human platforms turned toward the Zephirian fleet, its displacement weapon charged with energy that seemed to bend light around it. "Evasive maneuvers," Vorthak shouted, but there was no evading a weapon that could reach across space-time itself. The displacement beam struck Vorthak's flagship, and the ship simply ceased to exist. One by one, the remaining Zephirian ships vanished. The most powerful defenses in their empire were useless against weapons that operated on principles they didn't understand. On the USS Defiance, Morrison received reports as each target was eliminated. Rigel system clear. All targets removed. Centauri zone clear. Targets eliminated despite local government protests. Zephirian home system clear. Their entire home fleet has been eliminated. Hayes looked at the reports with amazement. "Sir, we've just attacked targets in 7 different star systems simultaneously. The Galactic Federation is going to have serious questions about this." Morrison nodded. "Let them ask. When someone attacks human civilians, there are no safe zones. The Zephirians needed to learn that lesson." Dr. Cole's voice came over the communication system. "Captain Morrison, we've eliminated all tagged targets. 17 ships destroyed across 7 star systems. Total time elapsed, 37 minutes. Any survivors?" Morrison asked. "None. All ships and crews have been completely removed from space-time. They no longer exist." The bridge was quiet as the crew processed what had just happened. In less than 4 hours, humanity had tracked down and eliminated an entire invasion fleet, no matter where they tried to hide. "Sir," Bennett reported, "we're receiving communications from alien governments across the galaxy. They're demanding explanations for our actions in their territory." Morrison smiled coldly. "Tell them that human space now extends to wherever human citizens need protection. If they don't like it, they can file a complaint with the Galactic Federation." But the real message was already spreading across the galaxy. Every alien government, every military commander, every species that had ever considered humans to be weak, was learning a new truth. Humans didn't just defend their territory. They hunted down anyone who threatened their people anywhere in the galaxy, using weapons that made distance meaningless and defenses useless. The Zephirian Empire had attacked human civilians thinking they were easy targets. Now the Zephirian Empire no longer existed, and every other species in the galaxy was asking the same question. What else are the humans hiding? 3 days after the Zephirian Empire ceased to exist, Captain Morrison stood before the Galactic Federation Council. The Great Assembly Hall was filled with representatives from hundreds of alien species, all staring at him with a mixture of fear and awe. The room was completely silent. No one knew what to say to the human who had just demonstrated that his species could eliminate entire civilizations in a matter of hours. Ambassador Helen Grant, humanity's chief representative to the Federation, stood beside Morrison. She had been preparing for this moment for years, knowing that eventually humanity's true capabilities would be revealed. "Honored delegates," Grant began, her voice calm and steady. "I'm sure you have many questions about recent events. Captain Morrison is here to provide answers." Morrison stepped forward. He wore a simple military uniform with no decorations, but everyone in the room knew they were looking at one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. 3 days ago, Morrison said, the Zephirian Empire issued an ultimatum to humanity. They demanded that we abandon 3 of our colonies within 72 hours. When we refused, they attacked and killed over 2 million human civilians. Murmurs spread through the assembly. Some delegates had heard about the attack, but many were learning the details for the first time. In response to this unprovoked assault on our people, Humanity activated Protocol 7 and eliminated the threat. The Zephirian Empire no longer exists. Delegate Krexthorin of the Vegan Confederacy stood up. Captain Morrison, our governments demand an explanation. How did human forces appear in our sovereign territory without permission? How did you eliminate an entire star empire in less than 4 hours? Morrison looked at the alien delegate with calm eyes. We used our military technology to defend our people. That's what militaries do. But such technology shouldn't exist, interrupted Delegate Zara Nix of the Andromedan Alliance. The Galactic Federation has treaties prohibiting reality manipulation weapons. We all agreed such devices were too dangerous to build. Ambassador Grant stepped forward. The Federation has treaties prohibiting the use of such weapons in wars between member species, or in conflicts where humans are the aggressors. Those treaties don't apply when our civilians are attacked by non-member species. Morrison nodded. For 43 years, humanity has fought wars using conventional weapons and tactics. We agreed to these restrictions to maintain peace with our allies, but we never agreed to let our people be slaughtered by aliens who think we're easy targets. Dr. Cole's voice came through the Assembly Hall's speakers as she joined the session remotely from Luna Station. Honored delegates, I think you misunderstand what happened. The Zephirians weren't defeated by superior firepower. They were defeated by superior understanding of reality itself. The Assembly erupted in confused voices. Several delegates demanded clarification. Cole continued. For the past 20 years, human scientists have been studying the fundamental nature of consciousness and its effect on quantum mechanics. We discovered that intelligent thought, when properly focused, can actually influence the structure of space-time. Morrison watched as the alien delegates struggled to understand what they were hearing. What Dr. Cole means, Morrison explained, is that human determination isn't just a psychological trait. When we decide that something must happen, we can make reality conform to our will. Our weapons don't just destroy targets. They convince the universe that those targets never existed. Delegate Thoran sat down heavily. That's impossible. Consciousness affecting physical reality is just superstition. Is it? Grant asked. How do you think humans have survived 43 years of galactic politics? How do you think we've never lost a war despite often being outnumbered? Our pilots don't just fly ships well, they will their ships to perform beyond mechanical limits. Our soldiers don't just fight hard. They refuse to accept defeat so completely that reality adjusts to match their expectations. Commander Hayes, who had accompanied Morrison to the hearing, spoke up. 3 days ago, I learned that my own ship contained weapon systems I never knew existed. Technology that operates on principles I was trained to believe were impossible. But I watched those weapons remove enemy ships from existence, simply because we were absolutely certain that those ships had to be stopped. The assembly hall fell, silent again as the implications sank in. Morrison continued, Humanity has been operating under voluntary restrictions since we joined the Federation. We agreed to limit our technology and fight wars conventionally, to avoid frightening our allies. But those restrictions only apply when we're fighting alongside other Federation species, or when we're the aggressors. When someone attacks human civilians, Grant added, all restrictions are removed. We fight with our full capabilities until the threat is eliminated. Delegate Vex Corthan of the Tau Ceti Republic stood up nervously. Captain Morrison, surely there must be limits to this technology. Surely there are things even humans cannot do. Morrison looked at the alien with a slight smile. Delegate Corthan, let me ask you a question. Do you know where your homeworld is right now? What do you mean? I mean, can you prove to me that your homeworld still exists? Can you prove that it wasn't removed from space-time while you've been sitting in this assembly hall? Corthan's face went pale. You wouldn't. Of course not, Morrison said calmly. Your people have never threatened human civilians. But I want you to understand something important. When Protocol 7 is active, human weapons can reach any target in the galaxy instantly. Distance means nothing. Defenses mean nothing. Political boundaries mean nothing. Grant stepped forward again. But humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We don't want to conquer other species. We just want to live in peace and protect our people. The new reality is simple. As long as you don't threaten human civilians, you have nothing to fear from us. However, Morrison added, if you do threaten our people, you need to understand that there's nowhere in the universe you can hide. Human space is no longer just our colonies and territories. Human space is anywhere humans live, work, or travel, and anyone who trespasses in human space with hostile intent will not return. Dr. Cole's voice returned over the speakers. For 43 years, we've been pretending to be just another species with ships and guns. But the truth is, humans are something different. We're a species that can impose our will on reality itself when we're absolutely convinced we're right. Morrison looked around the assembly hall. The Zephirians thought they understood human military strength. They studied our ships, our weapons, our tactics. But they didn't understand human determination. They didn't understand that when humans decide something must be protected, we can make the universe agree with us. Ambassador Grant made the closing statement. The Galactic Federation can continue to operate exactly as it has for centuries. Human technology will remain restricted during Federation conflicts. We have no desire to upset the balance of galactic politics. She paused, letting her words sink in. But every species in the galaxy now knows what happens to those who attack human civilians. The Zephirian Empire is gone. Not destroyed, not conquered. Simply removed from existence as if it never was. Only our memories and historical records prove they ever existed at all. Morrison stepped forward one last time. I'll leave you with one final thought. The weapons we used against the Zephirians represent 20 years of research and development. Dr. Cole and her team are still working, still discovering new ways to apply human determination to the laws of physics. He smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. What we showed you 3 days ago isn't our limit. It's just what we were willing to reveal. I suggest you remember that before anyone else decides to test human resolve. Morrison turned and walked out of the assembly hall, leaving behind several hundred alien delegates who were all thinking the same thing. For 43 years, they had been sharing the galaxy with a species that could rewrite reality itself. Humans had been pretending to be normal, fighting wars with conventional weapons, following galactic laws and treaties. But underneath that civilized exterior was something far more powerful than anyone had imagined. As the assembly dissolved into worried conversations, a simple message began broadcasting throughout the galaxy from automated beacons placed near every major trade route. No one trespasses in human space. Those who do don't return. You have been warned. The age of testing human patience was over. The galaxy had learned to speak carefully when humans were listening.